Hey, legends, we got a real treat for you today. We're talking with Sloane Brown, the CMO of Turtlebox. Turtlebox is rugged, waterproof speakers for everybody living that outdoor life, sports, hunt, fish, sailing, you name it. It's a great story in finding success through community marketing and really authentic connections. I think you're going to learn a lot. I know I did. Let's get into it. You have your own hobbies, you have your own like interests and those kinds of things. It's pretty cool that Turtlebox gets to interact with communities that you also are a fan of. Like maybe just give us a download of like what Turtlebox is, and then like how it interfaces with those kinds of communities. Because I know hunt fish is like a big part of it for you guys. There's other communities as well that you guys are obviously involved in, but maybe give us the lay of the land. Who loves Turtlebox these days?
Yeah, honestly, it's such a gift that, we can kind of, because music is such a connective and powerful medium and thing that you can kind of connect with whatever community you want, it feels like at times. But really, like who we are as a brand, very much core. We would consider hunt and fish our core. And that's because that's our four founders who started the business in their garage. That's what they enjoyed doing on their weekends and their free time. So those are kind of those are the communities that brought us to the dance, so to speak, and will remain in our company's DNA, I hope, forever and ever. But yeah, I mean, as the brand scales and grows, we're growing the music community a lot. Food, everybody gathers around food, and it's generally more enjoyable to cook when you have good music in the background.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that comes through a lot in the final product. And then sports is growing a lot for us too. And like, cause music is such a powerful thing for training and performance, and it helps you push a little bit, that we're really seeing a lot of growth in those communities too. But yeah, the business was started, I guess, technically the idea was in 2012. We have four founders. They were all living together in their early 30s and had corporate jobs. And they had this cool house. They called it the Palace, and it's at 23 Gessner. They still talk about it and reference that house. But they owned a sailboat together that they all bought. They pitched in and split it four ways. And they were just burning through standard Bluetooth speakers, being out in the saltwater and taking it on the Buffalo Bayou, which is a water system, kind of river creek that runs through Houston, which their house backed up against. So they were just burning through speakers, and they were like, we just need something tough enough that we can bring with us on our adventures. And so they kind of Frankensteined a Bluetooth speaker together out of like a Pelican case, and then bought all marine grade components for it, and started lugging
Literally,
it around
like
on their
they
trips.
scabbed one together, like took something apart, put it in a Pelican case, cut holes in it, did whatever, like tried to seal it
Do you
up.
want me to go grab? I can go grab like one of the originals and
Yeah,
sit in
I'd
front
love
of
to
our
see it. Yeah,
office.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
one
grab it.
sec.
Oh, no
This
way.
is one of the original protos, and like you can see, it's just like hodgepodge together, and it's got some kind of like sticky residue on it. It's on my fingers now, but that was the one they started lugging around, and
It's
their
actually
friends and
not far
family.
off, eh? Like I mean, it's
No,
changed
they
a little
kept a
bit,
lot of the
but
elements.
yeah, amazing.
Um,
They literally
yeah,
built it
it's
in their
pretty cool.
garage. Like that's not just like a folk story. It's actually what happened. They were like slapping it together.
True story.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And we carry a lot of that into like our brand elements today. And it's kind of like in our DNA, because the guys are just scrappy, and they just started lugging it around to parties or whatever. And everywhere they went, people were like, what is that thing? And they didn't have a name for it at the time. And it was just like, oh, it's our speaker we made, it's all marine grade. And so they would sell them to friends that were interested, but they were losing money because it was so expensive for them to source the components and the time, spent building it in their garage. But it just kind of grew and grew, and they were sitting around the fire one night, and they're like, guys, I think there's a business here. Like there's a lot of demand for this thing that we're carrying around. I think we can do something with it. And they were like, well, what should we call it? And Reagan, one of the four founders, he was like, it's called Turtlebox. It looks like a turtle shell. And they're like, done, let's do it, and a lot of times that can be like the most challenging start. One of the more challenging things is
Yeah.
to name a business
Yeah,
or a
totally.
brand.
Yeah.
Um, so they stuck with it and ran with it. And then in 2018, we came out with our first commercially viable product. Our
Where someone else was
generation one.
somebody was assembling it in a factory instead of in a garage, that kind of thing. Like it was actually getting
Yep. Mass
produced.
produced.
Yeah.
Yep. Um, yeah. So they launched that. I think they did a Kickstarter in 2018 and then found a small capital partner. I think they originally asked them, they said they needed $200,000, which it ended up being way more than that when it was all said and done. But he was a friend of theirs before, entrepreneurial guy, very successful. And he's been with us up until this point. He's still our only investor and capital partner. So, yeah, that scrappiness of like building it out of the garage is still very much how we operate today.
Do you guys have like an
And it's fun.
R&D in house, like onshore, where you're making new products or testing new things? That kind of that's how does that sort of DNA show up today, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, all the founders, the four of them are all super involved in the business and they are quality hawks.
Hmm.
So each one of them is very involved in the product design in the department, but our team is pretty lean internally and we're currently building that out. But we have partners overseas, our suppliers that helped with the design process. And we're kind of quality control and, managing that process as a team. But yeah, we do a lot of our design and development internally.
That's cool. Yeah, I think what I love this about this story is last year at the gathering we were talking about, like we were asking this question, like what is possible? What's truly possible? That we live in a time when there's you can kind of take a left or a right turn in terms of whether you want to think about the future optimistically or pessimistically. But there's never really been a moment in time when so much has been available to us to build, to create, to try new things. So I love the Turtlebox story, the origin story, because it makes it feel possible. Like it makes anything feel possible. It literally four people solving their own problem and then realizing that there's an opportunity to solve it for a bunch of other people and ideally build community along the way as you go. Like it's awesome. It's just a testament to entrepreneurship and creativity and just like trying something.
Yeah, and I think they have that mindset very much so, and it's like now what a blessing, and especially for me personally, is like the community that we're building around this brand is like, and what this brand has done for a lot of our internal employees, and like how we've found employees along the way that are in low points in life, and like they jump in, and all of a sudden like the energy of this business, helps them personally, and that's my story, very much so. So it's been fun.
Yeah, like so talk to me when we got the care package, we got a few of these in the studio here and like have been trying them out. Amazing product. First of all, my experience with it has been it's amazing. One of the things that caught my eye was the tagline "Live Free," and yeah, I don't know I don't know. There's sort of like a archetypal message there for sure. I think that probably I just identify with, but it struck me a bit. And I just wanted to hear the story of it, of like how did
Yeah,
you arrive at that? What is the story that you're telling to your community? Basically, I guess is how that question goes.
the story goes that somewhere in that 23 Gessner house where the product was born, they had a sign over a door that said "Live Free." And it kind of became a mantra of that house and the four roommates and founders of Turtlebox. But they were all working corporate jobs, and I think had just kind of like a general disdain for that corporate structure and like, oh, you have to wear a suit and you have to show up. And they've always kind of had a little bit of like a rebellious mindset. And so "Live Free" was kind of the mantra of the house. And like, it really just means like, you don't care about what other people think. You're living true to yourself and being authentic to who you are. And like, let's buck the mold and do things differently. And, that like, the societal expectations a lot of times don't feel right for people. And so I think it's breaking and living beyond those, and doing what feels right to you.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of where the tagline came from. And it's very much like in our DNA, in our company's DNA today.
Yeah, man, that's two easy wins. Like the name coming easy and the tagline coming easy is those are two like the hardest. I would say like the two hardest things for like establishing a brand story is like how do you say it in one word and then how do you say it in two words.
Yep.
It's nice that those things came naturally. I guess that's just a sign of authenticity. Like it goes down to the core again.
Yep. Very much so. I mean, I think we hire that way. I think
Hmm.
it's really important, especially for community, to have expert voices that are really entrenched in the community, and kind of can connect with that community on a very grassroots level. We're very like a very relational brand, far more relational than transactional, and we like to like go, boots on the ground, go meet with people in the community and kind of thought leaders within the community, and that's how we've built the business to where it is today. And a lot of that is replicated from how Yeti did it too. We've always looked up to them, and I spent time at Yeti and got to learn how they operated, and I think it's the reason for their success in a lot of ways. I mean, great product, obviously, that you're nothing without that, but I think consumers want to spend money with companies that have the same mindset and outlook and yeah, the same culture as what they have, shared values.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. Like I can see the similarity between Yeti. There's certain like features of quality, like just ruggedness, the performance of it. Whether it's like keeping ice longer, or whether it's making something that's rugged, waterproof, but also sounds really good, doesn't like dilute the actual quality of the music experience. I think I see those similarities. I feel like there's this go to market approach. This I like it, every time I try to bring it to words, it sounds like too academic to be meaningful. But like I'm just super curious about the go to market approach, like how you go about. It's one thing to find that spark and be like, oh, friends at parties really liked it, and people who are similar to us like really identified with the product, and so we scaled up who we could sell it to. But at some point, you kind of have to go. You're all in. These guys, the four founders, go all in on the business, and you have to find a way to make it work. And I think that in that moment, you're starting to make decisions about how do we intentionally grow. That's I feel like where brands start to lose authenticity. It's like, okay, we're going to start serving ads, or we're going to start doing this, we're going to sponsor this thing, or whatever it might be. How have you maintained authenticity as you've like grown in relevance and scaled up the actual distribution of the product and entered into the mainstream of these communities with the brand?
I think probably listening,
Hmm.
like we'll before a product comes out, we'll seed that product into these different communities and kind of step back and listen and see how it's resonating with them and see if they're using it and how they're using it and if it elevates their experience in whatever they're doing. And well, fortunately for us, we've been just every community that we've really like talked to and tried to engage with has been incredibly welcoming for our brand and for our product. And I think brands and products these days too, brands especially, become like a resource for a community, and there's industry within each one of these communities, and we're supporting that industry, with filmmakers and videographers and guides and outfitters, and um, really kind of trying to be a megaphone for them too, and
Hmm.
give back to the community, and then you just get more buy-in and it just kind of grows from there.
When you say like the industry in these communities, like you're talking about people who have also decided that this is where I like this is what place I'm going to do business, whether it's running a outfitting company, or whether it's making content like filmmakers might be doing, or making some other sort of a product that serves that hunt fish lifestyle or something like that. Like your mindset is to just go in, and are you seeking partnerships? Are you just seeking collaborations? Are you bringing money to the table saying, hey, go do that film, or go have that festival, go run that experience? Like what are the signs that you're looking for?
All of the above, everything that you listed.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like trying to leave it better than we found it. You know, we do a lot for conservation, and we donate a lot of money and a lot of product to those organizations that are trying to make, you know, the wild or habitat or access better and easier. You know, whether it's supporting those or you know, these people that are living free, you know, and have cool lifestyles that we find interesting and compelling and are bought in on our brand and product and use it organically, you know, use them to market your product, you know, because they've all got cool stories. Everybody's got a cool story. So placing the product with authentic people and kind of taking that endorsement and scaling it out even more.
Hmm.
Um,
Like I know that I before we started rolling, we were talking about our own like our hunting shared hunting passion and shared passion for the outdoors. I get that community. I can see the stories being told there. It's like a lot of social transmission in hunt fish. Is that true of other communities that you guys have looked at entering? Like, have there been surprises as you've looked else? Like, I think you mentioned sport as being, you know, another place that you're finding good traction in. Do all communities kind of behave the same, or do you have to sort of adapt your approach and learn a little bit, you know, change a little bit when you go into a different community?
there's definitely nuances. Like music is one that we've definitely, you know, had learned a lot of learnings on in the last year. It's just structured differently, and um, there's a lot more red tape and, you know, people involved, entities involved. But I think it goes back to like hiring subject matter experts to kind of help us navigate that. Like our sports marketing guy, he pitched at Texas A&M and then got drafted by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. So he can walk into any clubhouse in the USA and like talk to these coaches and strength trainers and connect with them because he's done it at a high level and he has that respect. And he knows the space really well and has a big network. So, you know, I think that's the biggest thing is like that internal culture and like having authentic people in the right seats
Hmm.
to really connect and grow within a community.
Yeah, I guess that red tape is just like the levels of like uh, rights management and talent
Publishers,
management and
yeah.
all that kind of stuff that doesn't really exist in some of the more grassroots style communities. I guess like you don't have like a manager if you're a professional hunter necessarily, or maybe you do. I don't know.
Some of them do, a
Yeah,
handful of them do, yeah. But yeah, the music space is just a lot more. It's just a way bigger industry, so there's a lot more people involved, I think. You know, and yeah, music rights and publishers and licensing, it's just far more complex. Um, but at the end of the day, like we really, our goal is to connect with the artists and support the artists the best we can.
hmm.
You know, not be as extractive, but more supportive and try to get, you know, more authentic buy-in that way.
Yeah. It's
And
a
also, and then use those artists to like propel and build our brand, right?
yeah. You give more than you take when you come into a room, that kind of thing. Like you're not like looking to see what's in it for you. You've already decided that there's a path there. And is it a longer term mindset or slower expectations on return, or like how do you kind of balance that with like the business side of things, which wants like a response from your activities right away?
Yeah, and that's been interesting to navigate too. For music especially, it's a long term play,
Hmm.
and we know that like investing into that is going to build brand, you know, over kind of a 3 to 5 year period. We can't afford to go out and get big artists yet a lot of times, you know, because there's so much management and publishers and stuff like that. So we're just slowly like punching above our weight class as we enter, and trying to not show up and be the brand that just slaps a logo on top of a festival and doesn't have any sort of presence. Like we want to slowly enter a space, kind of gain permission from that community as we go in and like really connect with authentic artists and songwriters that are doing it more out of passion and less out of like business transaction, you know. um, I think that's kind of our speed and how we try to win within a community. And if you do that well, those are kind of the validators within the community, like gaining approval and friendships with those types of people, and then it just trickles down from there.
Yeah, interesting. Like how so take come back to like the hunt fish one, which is like the origin story. Like, you know, went from a garage like straight into the community that you guys were all passionate about. how quick was the response, or how long did it take? Or is it a matter of like when you show up, you're also trying to commercialize, like you're selling product at the same time that you show up to support the rodeo or the film tour or the whatever it might be, like whatever the event might be? Is it a lot of in-person stuff?
Yeah, we do have a lot of in-person stuff. I think we'll probably hit 100 and probably 100 plus events this year
Oh,
total, and we
wow.
have a dedicated events team. Like that's our best form of marketing is we can show up and turn a speaker on in front of people and let them touch, see, feel it. So that's a big part of it. But yeah, we've definitely had some people that aren't early. We have early adopters, and those guys are, we love them dearly. Like, hunting and fishing, another thing that's interesting is hunting and fishing. A lot of people go to do those things for peace and quiet and solitude.
Right.
And it's like, how does a speaker company fit into that? It's the moments in between. And we're really just trying to connect with consumers of like, we know there's a lot of people that love to hunt and fish, and like, that's what they live for on the weekends. And so trying to connect and be like, hey, we are the same people. You're buying from the same people that, we love to hunt and fish on the weekends too. And we show up, in those moments in between, a lot of the prep and then a lot of the celebration,
Yeah.
but not so much like in the blind, you're not listening to a speaker, but
Yeah.
it's so cool how powerful, there's like music and smell can bring back memories better than most other senses.
Hmm.
And like, for a hunter, like they go out and get their teeth kicked in on a duck hunt, and it's like not a fun day. And you're like, all right, boys, let's go pick up the decoys. If there's a song that hits, like it makes that process so much more enjoyable. And then like that song will come on 5 years later and you'll be like, oh my gosh, it takes you back in time to that moment and to that hunt, which may have not been a good experience, but that song, hit and it's now a memory, for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to, Turtlebox is like to be able to facilitate that and be a part of that memory and that connection. Like what a gift,
Yeah.
what a gift as a brand.
Oh, it's totally a gift. Well, I think like I hunt with very few people. Like I have a very select crew of guys that I will spend time with in that setting. I'm very selective about it. And I don't think I'm unusual. Like it's not about like my spot and keeping things secret or anything like that. It's just about like the crew. It's that like brotherhood that you have when you're out there. So to actually be invited into that circle, I remember when I was first getting started hunting, you were like really felt lucky if you got invited to that hunt camp or that whatever, like that the experience that those guys are doing or whatever. So it's pretty interesting to see like a brand get brought into the fold. It's actually kind of like hallowed ground a little bit to be involved in the hunt or in the celebration after the hunt or the cookout or whatever's happening afterwards. Like that's intimate. It's an intimate setting, for lack of a better term, I would say.
Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that you just have to be careful about who you associate with. And if you associate with the right people that are like, yeah, those are good people, come on in,
Right.
enough people start to connect the dots on that and be like, that must be a good brand. The people
Right.
behind that brand must be good. Like, let's have them. And then, like I said, giving back and being like a supportive vehicle and source of energy for that community is super important.
Yeah. Interesting.
You
Yeah.
keep getting invited back if you leave it better than you found it.
You guys aren't showing up with like the guys that are hunting out of the back of a pickup truck, like bombing through a field, that kind of thing. Like you have a bit of a radar for who you're relating to when you do sort of form those relationships or partnerships, whatever the case may be. Like you have sort of a lens for what feels like it fits. Is that all just by instinct for you, or is it boiled down? Have you boiled it down to a system or some sort of like yes nos as you like evaluate what kinds of people you engage with, or what kinds of
Yeah, I
brands, I
mean,
guess?
it's not super systematic, but I think the easiest way for us to do it is like, would you invite that person over to a campfire, on a Tuesday night to your house? And is that somebody you enjoy being around? And if they pass through that filter, then a lot of times it's like, okay, let's engage further. Um,
Same with when you hire someone, like as you grow a team, is it similar?
100%. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I just think culture, internal culture, like that bleeds into into your brand messaging, into your creative, into your stories, into your product. I think that internal culture beats strategy any day of the week. But when you combine the two, then it's really, really powerful, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, that's a good like there when you don't have maybe the insight there is like when you don't have culture, you're forced to try to systemize things or you're forced to try to like create rigorous structure to keep something moving forward. But if you're at some point that fails, like those structures are not going to be able to extend to like new communities necessarily or whatever it might be. Um, but yeah, I guess it's just a mind the first things first, or keep the things that are important actually important, and let the rest follow. I guess is kind of the insight there. It seems like.
Yep. And hire, like, especially for these community manager positions, hire magnetic personalities that
Hmm.
people enjoy being around so that they can connect, better with that community and kind of be a conduit for the brand and the consumers within that community.
And what is that person's job? Like those people, what does their job look like? Is it just driving around or traveling around, showing up and shaking hands until there's like a bigger opportunity? Like,
Very, yeah, yeah. In a nutshell, I always say it's kind of a glorified customer service position,
okay,
but you're kind of out on the edge of the communities, like prowling and mining for good talent, and just constantly building relationships and like uh, being out there and kind of exploring and collaborating, and um, yeah, just connecting with that community and finding the cool, influential people to get behind your brand and kind of push it out there and introduce it to new people.
that's cool. So, like for our community, I think like there's the everyone's familiar with the case study of Yeti and the way sort of the progression of their success. Being in your seat and taking some of those learned lessons and applying them in a new area in a new way, but keeping some of the playbook, I guess you might say, consistent. What would you? I'm just curious if you have any advice for other marketers, other brand builders who are like on that edge of like I don't want to say abandoning just sort of the conventional approach to going to market, but maybe they're looking at sort of enviable levels of success in terms of brand relevance that you guys have had or Yeti's had and others like you. What kind of advice do you have for somebody getting into community marketing? Is it do you hire an event team first, or what's the first sort of move that somebody would make to begin to learn in this way? It's a new school of marketing, I would say. Maybe it's an old school of
It,
marketing, but it feels new these days.
it is new school, but the way I see it is it's kind of like it's public relations, really. Like, the media landscape has changed a lot, and publications seem to be, becoming less and less powerful and like the central source of information with the rise of social media. Um, and so I think it's really just shifted. And rather than, media outlets and publications that used to be the source of information, it's now individuals more so. And it's kind of the media landscape's become more fractionalized. And so it's kind of thinking about it that way. And like it's the new age public relations. But I think a piece of advice is like, you know, seed product, listen to the communities, get feedback from consumers. But, I also think about like, what is it that I do here and what is community marketing? And really like, I've basically like thought about that 23 Gessner house where our product was born and our four founders, like what was their mindset then? What were they into? And you kind of bottle that up. And like, uh, you try to make decisions based off of how those guys would have done it, then. And like, what were they into then and what could have applied then?
Yeah, less about trying to do something new, more about trying to do what you've always done whether in new settings or just doing it better or at sort of a greater scale. But I think that's that
Yeah.
keeping that authentic through line of what the brand actually is is at its core, like in its DNA.
Yeah, and really like getting involved on a grassroots level and like and making those connections and those relationships
Like
with
getting
thought
out there,
leaders in
hitting the
each
road,
space.
being at the
Yeah,
events, showing up yourself, seeing what people are talking about, all of that kind of thing.
very much so. Like I think our community team, other than our customer service team, is probably the most like in tune with market trends and consumer behavior because we're out there in the field. We do. I think events is super important, especially for a physical product like we have. You just get a large gathering of people that care enough to spend their free time going to whatever this event is, and you get to engage with a high density of them. And listen to what they're saying, and you'll see trends, and we deliver those trends back to our product development team. Customer services doing the same thing, and it's just like we're inputs into like our product roadmap and what consumers want and what they need and their likes and dislikes.
Yeah, that's cool. You can't. It's ultimately I get stalled between like, it's new school. It is a new school of marketing from like certainly from what I grew up in, let's say, or my career came up in, probably likewise for you. Um, but at the end of the day, it's like just incredibly simple and very human. Like it's not complicated. If you actually show up, you can then listen. You can actually observe people. You can actually, get their feedback on the ground, see what it is that they're saying, decide whether it's relevant to sort of the success of the brand, and make better decisions as you grow, rather than trying to like find the silver bullet in a media buy, or maybe a arm's length promotional partnership or something like that. Like just showing up and being humans behind the brand is it seems like the key. Like,
Well, it is. And you think about like consumer behavior these days. I've heard a stat. I don't know if it's true, but like the distance that somebody scrolls on their phone in a given day, it's something like if you rolled that out like a piece of toilet paper is I've heard 2.5 miles, which seems like a
no
lot,
way.
but
That's so
screen
depressing.
time of 3 to 6 hours seems like the norm for people these days. And so you're
Yeah.
thinking about how many moments that they get hit with brands through that time that like that digital space is really crowded and it's really competitive. And so right now, like we're thinking about that a lot, and like how do we get out of such a digitally, like we built this business, digitally on
Mm.
Instagram a lot of ways. It's a super powerful tool, and like Will Bradley, one of our four founders, like he jump started a lot of our communities through Instagram outreach, but like backing that up and having real life moments, we're huge on that. And like out of home marketing, entrances to music festivals, we've got speakers paired up so people can feel our vibrations and like our energy of the product and brand. Like that's so important to show up.
Yeah, interesting. That 2.5 miles is a crazy stat. I've heard like it's 10. We get hit with like 10,000 ads a day, like adults in North America, whether it's on your phone or on the road or wherever it might be. Um, yeah, like that makes it incredibly difficult to stand out. It's if not impossible. Like, and there are
Yep.
other brands
And
that do.
expensive.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally expensive. And there's other brands that have speakers too. So it's not like, if all your ads are doing is serving to get somebody into a place of consideration, but not actual love or affinity towards what it is that you're doing. And there's just as likely a chance that they would buy some other speaker or something. Like your job isn't to create speaker demand. Your job is to make connection to Turtlebox and have Turtlebox connect with where people are actually at in their lives and in their walk or whatever.
And it's what Will, one of our four founders, says all the time. He's like, we need to be focused on building this brand, like brand. There's a lot of options for people to buy speakers out there, and there are a lot of great products. We're building a brand that people connect with. We're trying to. I think we're doing a great job at it. There's other way bigger companies out there than us, but none of them are really going at it the way we are right now. And so that's kind of like our uniqueness, and freshness. And I think we're seeing a lot of success from that, stepping back. And Yeti did that so well through their storytelling. Like, I used to be on the way to work and drink scalding hot coffee out of my stainless steel tumbler and like cuss that thing because I'm like, oh, it keeps it too hot. And I'm like, and then I think like, what is it about this product and brand that people are so crazy about? And it's all of the things, it's the storytelling and like built for the wild and these inspirational stories that they told, but then also the way they connected with communities on a really authentic level. It's pretty cool. I think that's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
To it all.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Let me ask you one last question. Our theme for the year is winning the future together. And it's this concept, this idea that, how do we inspire our community? How do we inspire the people that interact with, what you guys will teach from the stage, or kind of what you guys will spark an inspiration for people? How do we connect that to better, something better in the future, rather than trying to avoid some sort of impending disaster or disruption that everyone's talking about? I'm curious, when you hear the words winning the future, like, what does that look like for Turtlebox? What does it spark in you? It's a question we've been asking every CMO that we've sort of had this conversation with through the year.
Yeah. I mean, I think about winning the future. Like, I think it's easy for brands to have success in short periods of time and moments in time. So I think repeating that success at scale would be kind of winning the future. That would be my short answer. But I love that you guys bring people together, and I think that like that collaboration, it seems to be more and more of a theme within industry in brands these days, and I think it's really cool. Working together with other like-minded people and growing things together, creating win-win situations for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I think that long-term thinking is in short supply in our industry, or at least in our discipline. And it's if you're just, what good is winning today if you're not going to also win down the line again and again and again, and actually have meaningful, lasting impact? So yeah, amen to that. Totally agree.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Well, great to connect. Really looking forward to chatting with you guys more and learning from the team as you guys head up to Banff with us in October. And looking forward to introducing you guys to the community fully this fall.
We're so excited and so honored. Thank you. I've heard about your event and festival for a really long time and what comes out of it. So we're truly honored and grateful for the invitation. Very much looking forward to hanging out.
Yeah. Likewise, man. It's going to be fun. Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Owen.